Hey everybody. Hey, this is Courtney from Dandelion Branding and welcome to our channel, or welcome back if you are back. Dandelion Branding is a digital marketing agency that works with businesses that are focused on sustainability. And here on this channel, I make educational videos about digital marketing from a sustainability and efficiency lens. And we also have a podcast called Environmental, where we really focus on issues around sustainability and have been interviewing folks that are working on really innovative and creative solutions to help solve problems in the world. And it's really been an incredible process. So if that's of interest to you, then definitely subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate it and we would love to have ya. So today is the final installment of a series that I've been working on for a couple months now about Google's Core Web Vitals. And in today's video, I'm going to be giving you the 5 top tips for how you can improve your Core Web Vitals score. All right, so let's jump into it. The first tip is one of the easiest to tackle, and that is optimizing your website's images or videos. These types of media files can be some of the largest that are on our websites, so it's really important to optimize these so that you're not slowing down your site. And a huge image file can make a big difference in terms of how slow your site will load. It is pretty remarkable. And so by reducing your image file sizes, you can do this either just, editing the image yourself, or you can have some sort of a plugin or a program that does this for you that compresses the image file and maybe will convert that image file into something that is even more condensed but still retains a lot of the image quality, something like a WebP image format. Those are really great to use. The different file formats certainly do make a difference, and absolutely the size of the images make a very, very big difference as well. So if you are downloading images from like stock websites, those are typically going to be very, very large image files. So it's just something to be aware of when you're uploading new images onto your site. The second tip is to minimize the amount of HTTP requests. And all of these kind of things that load when the person first hits your site contribute to having slower overall load times. So it's just something to be aware of, that you want to be limiting the number of HTTP requests. So essentially this is kind of the different things that need to load on your site, maybe like plugins that you're not actively using, or you have some code snippets and some scripts on your site that maybe are for old programs that you're no longer actively using. We see it very, very often that folks have lots of these types of scripts that load every single time their page is loaded on every page of their website, and they're just not actively kind of using them. So it's contributing to slower load times, a higher first input delay, and overall just isn't necessary to be utilizing that resource for nothing. So if you can eliminate some of those unnecessary plugins, kind of additional maybe apps for your Shopify store, depending on the program that you're using to kind of manage your site, there are different ways that you can kind of tackle that problem. But something to be aware of is just how many programs are you using that are kind of communicating to your website, and is there any way to limit that? And similarly, the third tip is to minimize any third-party scripts that are on your site. These are things like social media widgets, maybe ads, analytics tools, things like Hotjar or user experience kind of monitoring apps. These are all going to be third-party websites that give you a script to load. Some of these are definitely necessary, like we utilize Klaviyo scripts for all of our like email sign up forms and things like that. So those are necessary for the functioning of our business, but there may be some that are not necessary. Like if we are working on a website optimization project, then we will likely utilize a script that connects a user experience testing platform, but we don't want that to be always on the website, because it's just going to be loading constantly and collecting data that we're maybe not actively using. So it's similar to the HTTP requests, but more so it's sending the information, it's not pulling information from your site consistently, rather kind of sending information outwardly constantly. So if there's any way to limit that, it will definitely help with limiting the overall load time and just creating a more efficient and fast website in general. The fourth tip is to implement caching. Using page caching can be really, really helpful to limit the overall load time of folks that are coming back to your site. If you have a lot of repeat visitors, then caching is definitely something that you should look at implementing. Caching essentially saves information about your site on the user's browser. So if someone comes to your site first, then everything will be loaded and that cache will be kind of stored as a memory on their computer, essentially. And then if they come back, it's just a lot faster to actually load that information. So caching can be really, really helpful, especially for kind of e-commerce sites and websites that users are going to be returning to, which ideally should be your goal. You want people to come to your site and want to return. So caching is definitely helpful to reduce that overall load time and kind of limit the amount of information that needs to be pulled from your server every single time. And lastly, speaking of servers, looking into a content delivery network, or CDN, can be really, really helpful, because this can, again, improve your overall load time. Essentially, a content delivery network is a network of servers that your website kind of lives on. So it's not just stored in one geographical location. These are networks that are spread all over the world. So depending on where that user is, it essentially allows for the site to be loaded on a server that is closest to them geographically. So the information doesn't have to travel as far to get from your server where your website is stored to their computer. This is really, really cool one. We utilize SiteGround for our server, which we love. They are dedicated to sustainability, and they, I believe, have all of their servers are powered by wind power and renewable energy. So we love that. And they have a built-in CDN that is free. They do have, of course, additional options if you'd like to pay, but we love to see that it is a free service that they offer, which basically just cuts down on that overall load time and just makes it easier for your information to be transmitted, and it doesn't have to be transmitted across the globe every time. So all of these tips are definitely going to help you to have a more efficient and more functional website for your users, and thus will improve your overall core web vitals, because that's essentially what the core web vitals are tracking. So it's important to kind of take a look at your core web vitals on a relatively frequently basis. Of course, if you're not making any changes to your website, then you don't need to be watching your core web vitals very frequently, because they're only going to change if you make a significant change on your website, like if you're adding new products, new images, new functionality, new programs, and things like that. So, if you're constantly working on growing and expanding your website, then these metrics are very, very helpful to kind of keep you moving in the right direction. If you all of a sudden added a new plugin on your site, it's quite possible that will have an effect on the overall kind of load time and speed of your website. So it's a good idea to kind of take a look at those core web vitals and make sure that nothing is affected too much. And if it is, then your core web vitals will give you a good idea of kind of how you can tackle that to help address that issue and get your site loading quickly again. I do want to note that, and I mentioned this in the last video, that it's not critical that you are in the good kind of threshold of all of your core web vitals. It's a great goal to have, but just getting into that good threshold is not going to improve your overall ranking. And I found this interesting quote, put it right here. According to Google, a good page experience does not override having great relevant content. So that's straight out of Google's mouth. If you are, wanting to improve your overall website experience and improve your SEO in general, then first and foremost, you should be focusing on making really high quality content. And then, then you can focus on those core web vitals. But content is still going to be your biggest factor in terms of actually ranking and getting your website to rank higher in Google's search results. So that was the short and sweet version of the things that you can be focusing on to improve your overall core web vitals score. If you found this helpful, then definitely give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Again, it would be really, really helpful. And if you have any questions, of course, you can feel free to leave them in the comments below or head to our website, dandelionbranding.com, and there you can schedule a call and we'd be happy to chat and speak more in depth about any issues or any help that you may be needing to really improve your website or improve the content that you might be creating for your website. So we're always happy to help, so don't hesitate to reach out, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.